You are listening to an SAFM podcast, 104 to 107 nationwide. Stream us live on www.safm.co.za or via the SABC Plus app. SABC News, independent and impartial.
South Africa's taxi operators are celebrating a significant reduction in fuel cost. The National Taxi Alliance has hailed the move, citing benefits from developments in petroleum and mineral resources. Joining me now is Theo Malele, the spokesperson for the National Taxi Alliance. A very good morning to you, sir, and welcome.
And your listeners, and thank you very much for having us this morning.
Mr. Malele, given the fuel price relief, how soon can commuters expect perhaps a noticeable decrease in taxi fares?
Well, we must applaud, as you indicated in your opening address, this is the fifth consecutive, decrease of fuel. And I would like to see more for us to be able to realize this dream of adjusting our fares. And we also will be cautious to look also at the possible, maybe reduction in the cost of spares. And once we can have those kind of, costs contained, we should be in a position to relook at, the fares. So we really are encouraged and would like to see more of this happening so that this becomes a possible reality.
Mm-hmm. With the current decrease in the fuel prices, what specific considerations are preventing the taxi industry immediately from lowering fares further?
As you would appreciate, even though the taxi industry is the majority public transport mover, but it is not enjoying, the subsidies that the minority public transport movers are. So as a result thereof, our margins are so tightly squeezed, we are unable to even meet our financial obligations. So every little, extra penny that we can do savings on, comes in as a blessing to us.
As the taxi industry remains unsubsidized, has you as the National Taxi Alliance engaged with the government regarding more permanent financial relief mechanisms for the industry beyond the fuel price reductions? Yes,
we have. Since the dawn of democracy, we have been knocking at the ministers' doors. And it seemed that these doors were just revolving doors, and this was just falling on deaf ears. But we are encouraged by the current Minister, Barbara Creasy, and her deputy, Dr. Mr. Fengi. I'm just, a little bit confused with the name, but be that as it may. By their encouragement in, giving us some form of assurance that they will be looking at the taxi industry's challenges and they would want to address these because they have, they can see that there has not been fairness in terms of, treatment meted to the taxi industry. So they are pretty much willing to engage the industry to further look at the prospects of it being drawn into the subsidy regime.
You did mention that the taxi industry is still not near profitable with their margins. Can you perhaps clarify which specific operational costs beyond the fuel are impacting on the profitability of the taxi industry?
Quite a number of them. Look, fuel being one of them as an input cost, and also the spares, maintenance, repayment of these vehicles. These are impediments that are actually squeezing our margins further down. So as soon as we can get some form of reprieve and, perhaps some form of subsidization as well could come in handy. Those we believe would come in, to give our passengers some relief at the end of the day, should that, be effected.
Celebrations are in order right now, but there are concerns that Iran's latest missile attack on Israel could trigger a spike in oil and gas prices. Is that a concern for you as the taxi industry?
That, global politics have always, had a negative impact on the overall global, economies. So as an industry, we cannot be, excluded from that. We we are pretty worried that, just as we begin to celebrate, something crops up in the, far end of the world, and we wonder as to when will this, issue between Israel and Palestine finally be put to bed. That apartheid would never actually help, sustain, Israel, as it has been evidenced, throughout our lifetime.
So as we step now into Public Transport Month here in October, how does the NTA plan to incentivize more commuters to switch from private vehicles to taxis during October's Public Transport Month?
We've encouraged our drivers to treat, passengers on an ongoing basis with extra care. And we've also encouraged them to drive, carefully. Whilst at the same time, we've also impressed upon, taxi owners to ensure that their vehicles are up to date in terms of, maintenance. The seats are nicely covered, the cars are clean, and the cars, are presentable and roadworthy on the road, so that, people can be coaxed into using, taxis and, avoid using, mixed traffic, creating mixed traffic, because that in itself, has a negative impact on the environment. And we believe that we too have a responsibility to safeguard the, degradation of the environment as a result of our carbon footprints, and ensure that we have less vehicles on the road and, more people being ferried in massive, ways of transport.
What environmental initiatives is the taxi industry taking beyond encouraging public transport use to reduce carbon emissions? And can you also update us on the taxi recapitalization project? Is that still ongoing?
Well, we are actually of the view that the taxi recapitalization program needs to be, on an ongoing basis to ensure that we have, vehicles, we can replenish vehicles from time to time. And there is also this capital subsidy should come in handy to ensure that the scrapping of vehicles becomes half of the retail value of a new vehicle. And further on, we are encouraged by new developments in terms of energy, to say, electric vehicles, even though we have electricity challenges in the country, but LPG gas will also come in handy. But then at the very same time, I think we need to still be schooled broadly on the acceptance of gas. People have perceptions with the utilization of LPG gas, but as soon as people can be made to understand the importance of using, this kind of energy, that would, help save the environment and also offset the pressures on, Brent crude oil importation. So we can just have an alternative way of mobility.
Talking about those carbon emissions, just yesterday I was traveling behind a taxi and there was just smoke everywhere. So this is the type of initiatives that you are taking to ensure that there's ongoing process.
Yes, we do, and would like to also encourage law enforcement agencies. I mean, you were following this, smoky car, and you wonder where has the authorities been, when these cars are traveling the roads. I mean, they should be stopped and, from operating. In other parts of the world, you'll never see a smoking vehicle on the roads. So this tells you the level of inept, perhaps in our law enforcement agencies, that needs to be, checked up a bit.
I thank you so much for your time and all the best of luck. That was the National Taxi Alliance spokesperson, Theo Malele.